Well, thank you very much for staying with us on the show this morning on ITV. Beautiful Monday morning. Wow. Corruption is a major issue globally, but at every point in time, we have this very, very wrong impression that with the way it has affected countries in Africa, perhaps corruption is more in Africa than in other parts of the world. But with the emergence of what is now known as the Pandora Papers, which is an expose put together by a consortium of international investigative journalists with headquarters in Washington, D.C., it shows clearly that corruption indeed is a global problem. But the dimension that we're looking at now in our conversation today is how, in a sense, the rich or the super rich continually take from the poor to further their own nest at the detriment of the poor. I'd like to thank very especially our panelists on our conversation today on the show. And let me begin by appreciating the presence of Professor Gospar Ikobasoe. Of course, he's a professor of computer science. He's also a scientist and the initiator of the meal agenda. I'll get to find out from him what is this meal agenda about before we get into the heart of the conversation. But let me welcome him, Prof. Thank you for joining us on the program. Okay. I also have with us in the studio the immediate past executive chairman of Ovia Southwest Local Government Council. He's a full member of the Nigeria Institute of International Affairs, the lead director of Cradle of Black Civilization Initiative. Let me thank very especially Comrade Destiny Inabulele. Comrade, thank you for coming on the program.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
We also have another academician in the studio. He was with me on Saturday, and he's obliged us to be here again. Dr. Lugard Sado. Doc, thanks again for coming on the show. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Let me begin with Comrade Destiny Inabulele. What with the fact that you've had the opportunity to serve as a public officer, the Pandora Papers has brought so much to the fore, whether it's in Nigeria and several other African countries, in Europe, in America. A lot of people have been exposed in this Pandora Papers who have offshore businesses and what have you, where they have secret financing and stuff like that, all in a bid to keep their wealth from the public glare, from public scrutiny. What do you make of this?
Let me first of all appreciate you for this timely discourse, and to say that I'm elated to be in midst of two academicians. I want to say that the issue of the Pandora paper, it is an investigation brought to fore. It's not, I say, quote unquote, that the persons alleged are corrupt until due diligence. These are investigations that have been ongoing. It's a build-up to Panama and the Paradise Papers, with over or close to 600 journalists from about 117 countries in the world. Yes, you raised a very fundamental question, that the impact on Africa as a continent. You can see that corruption is across board. Why it's a little bit not very palatable in our continent is that majority of the countries or states, permit me, because as a student of international studies, of states in the African continent are emerging or developing countries. Just like you're saying that a man that is living below the wages of, how will I put it, say 100,000 naira, and a man that is earning 1 million naira. If you take 50,000 naira from a man that is earning 100,000 naira, the impact will be felt great deal. But unlike that is earning 1 million naira.
Okay.
So for us, what Pandora paper has done is to say, now that we know, what next?
Yeah.
We've known. It's not issue that particular to the politicians, quote and unquote.
Yeah.
They are equally well-to-do men of God, equally alleged. So for us, this is the time for us now to do, as I rightly said, due diligence, to see whether or not that these persons got this wealth in a dubious means or in a very such changing the poor. So I want to implore and encourage that this is not a final. It's not a final paper. So it's a document that is subject to due diligence.
Okay, Prof, you want to take it off from there against the background of the depth of these findings, and incidentally, some of the people that have been mentioned, especially politicians, are people who have one corruption case or the other with established or institutional anti-corruption agencies, so to speak. Yeah, build on that.
Frankly, we should see that document as a wake-up call. And their source of wealth, if it's not questionable, I don't think these people will want to go underground or put their wealth outside the scrutiny of government. Any person or individual in any country that doesn't want the government apparatus to know about his wealth and his source of wealth, such a person is of questionable character. And I want to encourage the anti-corruption agencies to pick up, start the investigation from those reports, the Pandora report. One more is still coming out.
One more is still coming out.
One more is still coming out.
So this is not just the end yet?
No, this is not just the end yet. I can tentatively say one more is still coming out. And this is the time for we to know whether Nigerians are tired of corruption or whether Nigerians themselves are the one aiding corruption. Because you cannot be a thief or accused of stealing and you want to use those stolen wealth to rule or govern the people. You will steal more. So it came at an appropriate time. If they are the names that were brought out from the list are just Africa and Nigeria, you will say, oh, they are after them. That is why that investigation has to be global. And it is aimed at helping the poor countries. As my colleague said, if you have millions and they take small inside, you may not feel it. But in a country where we have nothing and we are being looted on daily basis, we should take this Pandora report very seriously. Even if the security agencies don't do anything, it is high time the Nigerian masses use it as a decisive factor to determine who governs them next.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Lugard, this is not the first time we will have this kind of exposure of influential Nigerians involved in this kind of allegations, so to speak. Just like Comrade Destiny said, we've heard of the Panama Papers and another one, and he is saying there's one more coming. But it looks like after those other ones came to the fore, that's where it ended. Could you take it off from there?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sonny. I'd like to align myself with my two colleagues here on this platform and to say that the situation with Nigeria is a little bit different from what you have in other climes. And that is because it appears to me that while other parts of the world may be moved at what has happened, in Nigeria, it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing for people to make use of public funds the way they like, accuse them, and nothing happens. We are aware that in Nigeria here, a particular political party will always say, if you join their party, your sins are forgiven. And I'm quoting a former chairman of that party. No matter your level of corruption, just join our party and your sins are forgiven. And that is still the ruling party. What does that suggest to us? It means that no matter what you get in this Pandora report, whether it was in the Panama or the Paradise report, or like Prof said, even if a new report is coming, the body language of our country does not favor anti-corruption. In the words of Professor Patrick Edoboy-Binovia, a global criminologist, in his inaugural lecture in 2003, which he titled "The Criminal in All of Us," whose horse have we not taken? He noted that criminality is entrenched in Nigeria. In fact, it is institutionalized. And that if you dare to fight corruption, corruption fights back in Nigeria. So, if you ask me, as a person, I will expect, just like the FIROS said, that they were going to investigate. But I expect that beyond making statements on the pages of newspaper and coming up on different platforms in our media to say we're going to deal with this issue, we expect that by now, the anti-corruption bodies should have made some statements. We expect by now, Mr. President should have made some statements, because other presidents of the world are already making statements. They are already saying either they are accepting that they were going to probe, or that they are denying it completely. In our part of in this part of the world, in Nigeria, nothing like that. So, sir, a document that indicted about 37 governors, several former governors, current 7 ministers, former Chief Justice of the Nation, and several others, is not a light document. It's weighty. And I expect that Nigerian government should rise up. But as it is, just like Prof said, we expect that the Nigerian masses should rise. But I dare to say we will not rise. We are not going to rise, because the question you ask yourself is it because he's a Yoruba man? Is it because he's an Hausa man who does not steal in Nigeria? Those are the questions that the average Nigerians will soon start asking. And very soon, just like we have said, it is not unlikely that you will hear people say that they identify these persons. For instance, the supporters of Peter Obi, for instance, are already saying it's because of his gubernatorial interest in Anambra State. That was why his name was isolated. But I mean, something that even Tony Blair, former minister of UK,
Prime Minister of UK,
Prime Minister of UK, and several others were indicted in this report. I think that in Nigeria, we should call a spade a spade. I know that corruption has built houses for a lot of Nigerians. Corruption has put food on our table. But if we want to deal with corruption, no matter whose horse is God, we must all face corruption and ask that this paper be further investigated, and those who are found culpable, especially those who hold public offices. I mean, I know that it's your right to own property anywhere, but we're talking about disclosure. Disclosure, offshore accounts, offshore businesses and others, and you are a serving governor, or you are a serving governor, you are a director in a company, you are taking allowances and salaries in this country. I mean, it's unacceptable. And I think that we should all ask that the right thing be done.
Okay. Let me quickly say something. Prof, the cost of Prof's trying to find a way around it. You made mention of issue that if the sources of the wealth are not questionable, why hiding it? You see, we must try to see how we can send the right information. It's not totally all true. So there are some persons who believe that, yes, it's not good that I display. And if you look at it, it's legitimate to have, besides, there are some incentives that encourage offshore, in the case of tax haven and what have you. So it encourages investment to come and invest in offshore business.
That's so we're not talking about hiding your words. We're talking about hiding it from your government. Okay. That's what I said.
Okay, no problem. Just so let's establish the point.
I listened to Peter Obi. Peter Obi said he has not run foul of the law. That ordinarily the CCB, that he ought to have declared what, according to him, he said he declared, or rather he resigned as being a member. That is to say, he has been operating it before he became a governor of Anambra State. So the point I just wanted to make clear is that, you know, trying to hide it depends on the way you want to have your wealth. There's some person that doesn't want a flamboyant life. He wants it cool, calm, and easygoing. So for us, I'm not trying to make case. As I rightly said, I said this is now that we know. I use the word now that we know. It's now the bus stop is not before the various, you know, anti-corruption agencies to do due diligence. I use the word due diligence. If found capable, then they will be made to face the wrath of the law.
Okay, fantastic. I think this thought that you just shared has also agitated my mind that the British Virgin Islands, which is a major sink for all of these funds that we're talking about, is known to give tax rebate and all of that. Couldn't that have been some kind of justification for people to want to invest there? If such people do invest there, how does that not become a crime that has attracted global outrage based on this publication? Yeah, let me get Prof to respond. I'll come to you, though, because while he was talking, I saw the way you were looking at him.
We are not saying that they should not invest anywhere they want to invest.
Yeah.
Anything that is illegitimate is a crime. And legitimacy is not a global rule, it is regional. That is, what is legitimate in Nigeria may not be legitimate in the UK. Okay. As long as you are in Nigeria, and whatever your investment you are doing, and you are coming to a public office, and the rule says you should do this or you should do that or you should do that, if you don't do it, whatever you have done becomes illegitimate. So the British people may have a provision to attract investment to their country, but when you are now coming to a public office, you should declare that I have so and so. Otherwise, there will be conflict of interests, and that is what is happening in our government. Where you have companies, investment outside the shore of this country, you have accounts, hidden accounts outside the shore of this country, and you come to tell us that you don't have this, you can't have this. I don't discuss people. I like discussing issues. Otherwise, I would have punctured some statements some people have already made. You don't come out to Nigerians to say you are a saint. I like living a low-level life. When you see me outside, I don't even know whether I'm a professor, the way I dress or whatever I do. Whatever money I get, I can use to help the poor. But what I'm trying to say, and help myself, what I'm trying to say is that hiding your source of wealth or your means of livelihood from the government of your country remains a crime to any country and to Nigeria in particular through the CCB rules and regulation. If you forget to do it, Nigeria will even know that you forgot based on some minor issues. There's okay, go and do it now. There was opportunity for some people to do it. They refused to do it. We should call a spade, as my doc said. We should. I'm not taking to the corruption agencies to investigate or do due diligence. They should quote me. I am not sure they can do due diligence. It is the masses that should do due diligence by making sure they make Nigeria ungovernable and make governors ungovernable for this set of people. Ungovernable in what sense? When they come to meet them tomorrow for a vote, they should chase them away.
Okay, I think you qualified that now. Yes. I was going to hit you on that now, Prof. Okay, now, Doc, let's get your take on this. Yeah, I raised the issue that many of these people may have done this. Isn't it possible that, against the background that British Virgin Island has a tax rebate or is a tax haven, people may have taken advantage of to make genuine investment? Under that circumstance, would you not say those people stole those monies and all of that?
No. Let me just begin by saying no. You are not likely to say they stole money because they invested in the British Virgin Islands. Okay. Not at all. Okay. The issue here is that it was undisclosed. And once anything is shrouded in secrecy, then there is something to be unveiled.
There's something fishing.
Exactly. There's something to be unveiled. Interestingly, the numbers of persons here are not peculiar to Africa. It's a global thing. The question is, Di Maria, for instance, a footballer who plays for Real Madrid, played for Manchester United.
And is that with PSG?
Exactly. Did not disclose. And nobody, I mean, with what he earns, we know that this man has the capacity to acquire property anywhere in the world. Yeah. But why was it not disclosed? That's the issue. That's the issue. Now, needless to say, I mean, I don't know so much about the laws of other lands, but in Nigeria, if you are a public office holder, you are expected to declare. You are expected to declare. Needless to say that there should be nothing whatsoever. Owning property has never been a problem, but having a stake in businesses is my major concern here. Is my major concern. Such that if you are a sitting director, you are sitting on any board, yet you were like one of the governors, let me leave the names out, you were chief of staff to the former governor. From that time till you became governor, you didn't disclose. You kept everything. Now that it is out, you are now trying to manipulate issues to say, no, I disclose, I resigned. Show the documents of your resignation. Show all of this stuff. We can't have any of this. The question here is, Nigerians know the truth. Now, just like Prof said, there are even wealthy imams, wealthy pastors, wealthy judges, wealthy businessmen in Nigeria, I mean billionaires, who are on this list. It's true that they should not, as it were, go to CCP to declare their assets, but it should not be hidden. It should not be hidden. Nigerians should know what you are worth. But you see, I have a case with Nigerians on the basis of morality. This is a country where we have heightened unemployment. In fact, this is the capital of poverty in the world. Needless to say that this millions, about 147 million pounds, has been credited to Nigerians in terms of the properties they bought in just about 10 years, only in the UK. If these monies were brought here in Nigeria,
if they had invested,
employment will be created, poverty will be reduced. We overtook India and Bangladesh. We are the capital of poverty in the world. The most extreme poor people in the world, they are in Nigeria. Over 70% of Nigerians are in that category. And we have Nigerians who are busy empowering nationals of other countries, yet unknown to us. They are the ones, some of them are the ones saying that there's bad governance in Nigeria, and there are no jobs, that the budget is not enough, that zero allocation and all the others, yet you have this large chunk of money. The question is, what my concern here in Nigeria is that there is money laundering. The attempt to pull these funds to other parts of the world and invest will show to you that some Nigerians are, not all, some Nigerians are trying to launder their wealth. The question we will ask, and we should go to the genesis, what is the source of this wealth? Once we are able to establish the source of this wealth, then of course we can take it up from there and know whether or not these people have shortchanged the Nigerian state and the Nigerian people.
Okay. Comrade, let's get back to you. I think in my opening line, I raised this issue. Doesn't this look like some sort of gang up or conspiracy between amongst the rich people, or by the rich people against the poor people? When you look at the volume of money that has been taken by these people, I mean, in one of the story, we heard a former minister bought a property in the UK worth 5 billion naira cash. Underline the word cash.
Yeah.
It wasn't through a mortgage. It wasn't through a facility. She bought it cash. 5 billion naira cash. Just like he said, if we have 5 billion naira, I mean, if you put all the monies together, all right, the Pandora papers brought out, we probably would not need to go borrowing like we're doing now to fund our budget. In fact, it's going to get worse in 2022. Like Timmy Frank said a while ago, that Nigerians should tighten their belt ahead of 2020. Let's get a perspective on this.
Yeah, well, I think that's the gospel truth. We must be sincere, because over time, we're trying to look at the present dispensation, 1999 to date. If you look at the decadence, when I say decadence, the administrative decadence in the Nigerian state, one's wonder if, as rightly said, Doc rightly said, if there's issue of morality. But you and I know, in politics and in business, there are no morality in politics and business all over the world. I'm a student of history. You see, an average businessman wants to invest where he or she, a bread can be buttered. no matter whose detriment. So that is the issue of business. For us, as a nation, as I earlier said, now that we know, Prof used one word, that it's high time that the masses makes this country unbearable for those that have been alleged. For us, I think it is a right step in the right direction. And again, I think all of us, we are speaking towards a direction that we must do due diligence to this Pandora paper, to know whether or not that these funds are illicit or otherwise. For us, they have subchanged the average Nigerian people, because I can't think of 5 billion cash to acquire.
That was then
a property in the
at the time it was bought
in the UK.
Yes,
but we must equally look at before our emergence, becoming a minister. What's her lifestyle? What has she been doing? This is that we must look at. She a business person, or what? Maybe she felt that now that I'm here, it's an opportunity for me to acquire. I'm not speaking for her, but I'm just trying to maybe do some thinking for myself and for the average Nigerian people. The issue is this: if you look at over 330 persons has been alleged, and from the records, about 35 or thereabout are former heads or present heads, and again we have some private individuals, even those that's trying to give us a pathway to morality, our religious fathers. Some of them have been alleged. So the issue is this, as I rightly said: the tax haven and the offshore is a legitimate, business. Just as you rightly said, if they say, okay, there's a tax rebate, let put it like there's a tax rebate, you and I know that an average persons that have the wherewithal would definitely embrace it. So we must be very, very careful. I understand that what we see to be right in the developed world, and here there are two separate things. To some extent, be right here, but we must look at it dispassionately. Not saying that when a certain political party, they were trying to come aboard, they told us that they will kill the rich to resurrect the poor. That's why some of us embraced the party. But as we speak, we are daydreaming. I want to say here.
So have they succeeded in killing the rich?
That I don't know.
The poor? You tell us. I mean, you've watched things. You've watched things. You've observed things in the last couple of years.
I'm doing the research, sir. So for us, we must. I have said it. I use the word due diligence. We must allow the anti-corruption agencies to do their work. Let us not think for them, but we can endeavor to suggest for them. Thank you very much.
All right. Prof, yes, the poverty capital of the world is Nigeria. And if we have the opportunity to invest all of these monies that are stashed away abroad in Nigeria, I'm sure it would do us a lot of good. The 2021 budget has a huge deficit that we're borrowing to fill. We're going to borrow more to fill. I mean, just recently, we talked about 710 million euros, about $4 billion, and several other pounds that are being that we're planning to borrow now. There's been a lot of reaction and counter reactions along those lines. Let's get your take on this semi-gang up by the rich against the poor.
It's not really a gang up. It's not really a gang up against the poor, but an institutionalized global corruption. It's not really against the poor, because if you are investing in a place where the tax rebate, you don't need to use the third party. You use your name, the whole world, enter and check the document, the whole world will know. So, but it's institutionalized corruption. The only problem with in Nigeria, as I said, is that we are too poor to be that corrupt. We are too poor to be that corrupt. And that is why I'm saying that the corruption institutions, anti-corruption institutions cannot fight this thing. Because some of those people, they are the ones that put them there. So it is not a gang up per se. But if some of those money were invested in Nigeria, Nigeria would be a better place. But nobody wants to invest in a place where there's instability in governance. Nobody wants to invest in a place where there are no basic infrastructures. Okay. Nobody wants to invest in a place where the value system of the people is very, very poor. And when you came into this, we were saying, okay, they'll talk about the meaning of the meal agenda. We are talking about basic infrastructure. Okay. So in Nigeria, the basic things required for investment are not there. And therefore, nothing can attract investment. Let us not deceive us. Let us call a spade a spade. My quarrel is not that they invested outside. My quarrel is that the public wants, not the pastors or the man that should declare their asset. The public wants did not declare those things. Otherwise, we are free to invest anywhere you want to invest. Okay. Where you think your investment is safe. Is safe.
Okay. Yes. Doc, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I align myself completely with Prof's submission that we don't have problems with private individuals. The problem I have with them is that they hid themselves from the public view. They covered their name. They used third parties and all that. So that is an issue. And like I said in one of my submissions, if you are hiding something, then there's something not right
something
with what you are doing and how you are doing it. That is very fundamental. But my point here is this: in Nigeria, it's true that you know that you cannot invest where there are no basic infrastructures, and Nigeria is too poor to be on this list. We were not always poor.
Yeah.
We were not always poor. They made us poor. This gradual erosion of our national assets, of our money, of everything we ever had, led us to where we are today. In the 80s, for instance, I read on papers that at a point in time, you needed more dollars to buy a naira. In the 70s, we were told that the naira was at par with the pound, or at a point that was even higher. What went wrong? They destroyed the infrastructures that he's talking about. They destroyed the system. And gradually, we started pursuing dollars and pursuing pounds. And that is what is happening today. With this plethora of investment in the UK, in America, and other parts of the world, you need a lot of dollars. That's why our naira is nosediving on a daily basis. So much so now that because of their corruption, they killed the educational system. How much is ASU asking government to give them to revitalize the educational system that government is unable to meet for God knows how long? How much are the resident doctors asking governors government to release to them to revitalize the healthcare sector? Needless to say, the road network and all the others. These monies meant for the public have all been stolen. And I mean, I'm not just saying this. The records are there. The EFCC prosecution of some former government officials are there to show. We also have judgments from courts asking such politicians to forfeit their assets and their money. So it is an established case that some public officials in Nigeria have stolen from the masses. What we now need to do is to insist that, see, if you are a public office holder, you should declare what needs to be declared. And that is why I said on Saturday, we must look at our constitution again. There are so many abnormalities in the 1999 constitution that we need to work on to save ourselves of this embarrassment. As long as this is the order, imagine, with what has happened, unless the Attorney General of the Federation gives permission for prosecution, nothing will happen. Even EFCC or ICPC decide to do their investigations and all, if government is not interested in the case, nothing happens. So all of those issues are the things that we should be concerned about. Otherwise, it will be a free-for-all fight. And that's what is happening. In Nigeria, people go into politics, with due respect to my brother here, some of them, generality of Nigerians go into politics to make money. In other parts of the world, politics is not as lucrative as it is in Nigeria. It is too lucrative in Nigeria. Outside the allowances and the monies they earn, the ease with which they access public funds without prosecution or without checks and balances is unimaginable. It's disturbing. That is why one person can have access to 5 billion naira and a whole state does not have that. That is why one person can decide to spend, one of the governors is arguing that he did not buy the asset of a former governor. Names withheld. The governor in the West did not buy any asset from the former governor in 2011. Now, we are all crying about that governor. What about the former governor who sold the asset? Where did he get the money from?
With which he bought the asset.
With which he bought the asset. And I'm surprised that the Pandora report did not capture that particular former governor, who is a big political wig in Nigeria.
Interesting.
These are the things we should be worried about, and we should start asking questions. Until we start asking questions, we will not have any headway. Let me conclude by saying that you asked a question whether this is not an affront of the rich against the poor. It has always been. As a sociologist, I know the Marxist philosophy, and it is very simple. The rich people keep accumulating. It is called capital accumulation. That's why they are called capitalists. And if you think that they are interested in your well-being, that's a lie. If they ever made a promise, it is to further impoverish you. That is the kind of relationship that is even taking place between the developed world and the underdeveloped world, like Nigeria. As long as America keeps doing well, China keeps doing well, Nigeria will be nosediving. As long as there are billionaires emerging in Nigeria, just understand that there are many people who are being turned to paupers and poor people in Nigeria.
Fantastic.
We must start asking them questions, otherwise they will keep telling us lies.
Fantastic. Yeah. Just before you come in, I know there are a lot of things you're itching to say. Part of our constitution makes it mandatory for public office holders to declare their assets. In Nigeria, it looks like it's at the discretion of the public office holder to make the asset declaration public or not. I remember the crop of governors that we have now, or public office holders that we have now, only one person distinguished himself, and that's the governor of your state, Makinde, who declared over 45 billion naira or thereabout, and that came into the public domain. Apart from him, all others, whether they declared at 12 midnight in the coven, nobody knows. Up to today, it has stayed that way. Even our president, same thing. So I don't know what you make of this, that what is supposed to be an institutional practice where people respond to it to bring sanity into how people access wealth and all of that. We just look down on it. Let me give you that question there.
Yeah,
I'm sure you did declare when you were in.
I was about going there,
okay.
Because Doc said something just now that there is a lacuna in the 1999 Constitution,
Okay.
regarding declaration of assets. It is mandatory, CCB, before and after, to declare. See, I use, even when you are in a ball, like me, like in my NGO and in my company, I formally resigned. Even before I emerged as a chairman, then I was the president of LNGO, the Conference of Non-Governmental. I resigned, I think, 3 months before.
Yes, I remember.
So it's a normal thing. So for some not to, for me, just as a Prof rightly said, that he did something, that is to say that there is a question mark on you did something. But we must look at it. Prof said something, that the issue of investing. You and I know that, as we speak very just now, an average businessman wants to invest on where his or her business can thrive. You know, Michelin before now in this country, but as we speak, it's no longer in this country. They've relocated to Ghana because the environment is no longer favorable. Doc says something that we are not like this ab initio. Of a truth, he's right. It was in this country, a former president said that we have too much money, we don't know what to do with money. And that's the genesis of our present day woes. Because, I'm sorry to say this, whether the ability to think
has eluded them,
I don't know. at that time, I don't know. I think it's high time now that let's come together. Now, the oil money, all over the world now, the oil is gradually, the dependence on oil is winding down. Netherlands, over the years, has oil, but decided they left oil in the soil because there's what they call the resource curse, the Dutch disease and what have you. Because they believe that when you are blessed with the devil excreta, there's bound to be, you know, lack of ability to think, laziness, violence, and what have you, which has characterized this nation for the past years. They said that's one of the reasons they left their oil in the soil. They go into farming and taxes. For me, why we are here, when I look at that document, and I begin to realize as a state, as a country, why we are where we are today. That is, see, you cannot rule it out. Because if you look at the analogy, it's what is, you know, staring us in the face as a nation. So for us, we must take, as it's day now before it's get to night, from the oil and invest in the agriculture. The North must wake up. The South must wake up. We must come in synergy. This issue of saying, I'm a Northerner, no, excepting we want to do the needful, as what my Southeast people have been clamoring for. If not, let all of us come together and create a path to that Eldorado.
Okay.
Otherwise, just as Prof said, that the masses begin to make the Nigeria, those that are put us in this perpetual, you know, lamentation, unbearable.
Through their votes.
Yeah,
through their votes.
Sorry,
through
their votes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not saying.
They carry arms and all those things. He qualified it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prof. Yeah. So that does it.
Okay. All right. Let's get your take on this asset declaration and not declaration of assets.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's compulsory.
It's compulsory.
Yeah, but we don't see our public officers do it, or when they do it, it's still shrouded in secrecy.
The law did not say you should declare. You must declare it. You must make open declaration. The law did not say you must make open declaration.
Is that a lacuna, in your opinion?
The declaration must not be open.
No.
Must not be open.
No.
Because you may expose the person to so many social vices. If people now know that he has so much billion, so much this, but it should be declared to the law. It should be known to the law. If it is not known to the law, it becomes a crime. We are slighting the government.
Okay.
So let the government know. So it is not that Makinde declared it openly. Doesn't mean that others must declare theirs openly. But it must be known to the law. I am not a lawyer. Lawyers know what I'm saying. That it must be known to the law. So as long as it is known to the law, no problem. So that when these issues come up, they will say, okay, we know. Why is it known to the law? Well, why should it be known to the law? So that they will know you're in and know you're out. So that when you are coming in, they will know. And when you are coming out, they will not know, okay, you are taking so much that you are not supposed to take.
But you hardly ever see that. Doc?
That's why we have to strengthen our institutions. There are institutions that are supposed to check all these things, but they are sleeping. So everybody say government. But Nigerians are really the government. I don't give you a quick story. May his soul rest in peace. I have a colleague of mine who said the reason why he will not vote Goodluck is because Goodluck was corrupt. And I know this person as inherently corrupt. And that very moment when he told me in his office, I stayed in his office tired. He thought I was tired. I was tired for almost 5-10 minutes. I was confused. Because who is telling me that he don't want to vote for somebody who is corrupt? He's very corrupt.
It's the definition of corruption.
So what I'm trying to say in essence is that we should, as a matter of urgency, ensure that we work on our value system. Otherwise, we are going.
Okay. All right, Doc, you want to have a comment on that? And then there are well-meaning Nigerians, well-to-do Nigerians, wealthy Nigerians, whose names didn't come up in these Pandora papers, or the Paradise papers, or the Panama papers. I'm just wondering, why are all the papers starting with P? Is there something about it?
Well, I honestly don't know. Well, it caught my attention, but I didn't give attention to it. I honestly don't know why it's Pandora or Paradise or
Panama
whatever.
Papers.
No idea. But truth be told that this international consortium have actually done well. I must commend them, and it's obvious that they were not moved by politics or ethnicity or race or even religion. They just want the records to be straight. And I think that their actions are commendable. I also wish somehow that we can have a replication of that domestically, where journalists like you across the nation will come together, irrespective of ethnicity, tribe, and religion, come together and help salvage Nigeria. Because, like we know, you people are the fourth arm of government, and honestly, what they have done now, the entire world is at a standstill.
Absolutely.
And everyone is rethinking and re-strategizing on what to do. So I must commend them on that. Now, what has happened is a revelation. What you do with revelation as a spiritual person is what will determine whether you will make progress or not. So I want to appeal to our nation, government and the people, to make do with this revelation appropriately and use it to better our lot. This is not the time, as it were, to pass blames. This is not the time, as it were, to politicize the report. No, this is the time to deal with the issues head on. The point here is that if there were openings in our laws, in our institutions that made this possible, let's tighten those loopholes. Let's lock up those knots. Let's close those doors such that in 10 years' time or in 5 years' time, when another report comes out, maybe that may be purity report, where there is no corruption anymore. Then we will be happy that when they are looking for the names of Puritans in the world, Nigerians will dominate that list. So I think that's my take on it.
All right, comrade.
Yes, let me quickly, Prof, in the course of his trying to find a way around it, that the agencies saddled with it are sleeping. I beg to differ. They are not sleeping. Just as you rightly said, it's not to be made open because of social question.
Or based on the provision of the relevant laws. Yes.
Not because of the social question.
What's the social question?
If you, for instance, if I declare, for instance, you know the issue of insecurity, that I have about 5 billion, and it's not to everybody. And you know what that means to
is that you have about 5 billion, or you are worth
5 billion.
You are worth 5 billion in terms of assets and.
Hold on, a senator bought a house with cash, 5 billion. It's not as if she's worth 5 billion. 5 billion cash. That's the point. So, just like there's a social question to declare it open. The agencies saddled with it. They are working perfectly. I can tell you that because I'm just talking from experience. I know how they were on me, even to the least councillor, to make sure that we do the needful.
So the agencies are not sleeping?
No, they are not sleeping.
Fantastic.
They are not sleeping.
Fantastic. Okay, let's get a final. I mentioned the fact that there are eminent Nigerians who are doing well in business, whose name are not in that list. That means they're clean, at least for their names not to be on that list. You want to say comment? I would just try and avoid mentioning names.
We should commend them, and we should encourage other well-meaning Nigerians to transparently invest their money within or outside the country. We also want to plead with them to invest them in Nigeria. And you see, I said encourage within and outside. I said plead to do it in Nigeria. So we will commend them very well, because the reality is that in this era, sometimes it is not even easy to keep your word in the public show because of, as I said, social issues, security issues, and all the rest. But we have to work hard to solve that problem. And what do we need to do? We need to enshrine a government that is not involved in this secretive business. We need to enforce a government that will work on dig down and lay a very good foundation for the country.
Is that why you've created the meal agenda?
Yes, that's because you are the one that mentioned it. I've always not. I don't like.
What's the meal agenda?
Meal means maintenance, electricity, agriculture, and leadership.
Okay, fantastic.
So basic things first. If you say you want to build an upstairs on a weak foundation, it will collapse.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So with government that will come, will first of all dig deep. We may not see the impact immediately, but we'll see, we call it strategic benefit, not tactical benefit. We will need, what we need in Nigeria now is not oil. Oil is not the real wet. It's a wet that came to destroy.
Okay.
Agriculture is the real wet.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. Dr. Lugasado, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Comrade Destiny Nabulele, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Professor Gospa Ekobase, thank you so much. We'll take a short break. I'll be back on the next segment of the show this morning on ITV with yours sincerely. Please stay with us.